I do think that we're all just tired at this point. I know a lot of people that they were being extremely safe. I mean, shit, I'm counted in this. I caught it because I took a risky move. I went to see a movie in a movie theater. I wouldn't have dreamed of doing. I shouldn't have done it even then. But yeah, I made a stupid mistake and I caught it, and I was lucky that I got the mild one, because I'm triple vaccinated. But in retrospect, it wasn't the best idea to go and see that fucking movie. I wish that Disney and Marvel had released that movie like still as a streaming option.
Yeah, for sure.
But people are tired. People are so tired. They're tired of being cooped up in their house. They're tired of not being able to go to the grocery store and pick their own fruits and vegetables, and people are tired of not seeing their friends, and it's wild. We're rounding here. We're about to close on 2 years.
Well, I do got a little touchy one for y'all boys. And, back in our older episode, vaccine talk, that kind of blew up pretty crazy. But post-vaccines, the new mandate, the new variant, how the world is reacting to it, are they taking it much more serious? Or are they just kind of just like, I already got it. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys think? What's going on? How do you like? I know New York hit another record. These boys break records up there, right, Dove? From what you was telling us.
Yes.
How's this new mandate, new variant? Like, what the new rules? Like, how is this affecting people? Do they care more or the less?
I mean, you saw the mandates work. Mandates work. Whether it be teachers, whoever it is. For some reason, once you put people's beliefs where their pockets lie, they start to believe other things. I mean, all these people are still very anti-vax, but maybe now that they got the vaccine and noticed that they didn't emit 5G radio waves, or like they're not dying, they're not getting sick, then maybe they'll believe in it more. You had a big group of people in the Bronx. I think they wanted to put all private businesses, everything has to be, everyone has to be vaccinated. I think that just got shot down. So I think they're allowing certain unvaccinated people. I think there's a very large group, maybe 40-50% of the workforce in the Bronx. If that mandate would have went through, like unemployment in the Bronx would have shot up like crazy. It would have been really bad.
You think so?
Yeah, there's a large group of people in the Bronx that are not vaccinated. It's a large percentage.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, do you think if they did the mandate that they would die on their shield? They would.
Well, for the most part, most people get the vaccination, but we're in 2021 leaning towards the end of 2021, and it was still a large group of people who had not gotten vaccinated out there.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying, like, if their jobs if something hasn't forced them to do it, then they probably aren't going to do it. I don't know. It just reminds me of like the police union. There was 20,000 cops or something got together talking about, we're going to not go to work if you impose the vaccines and all this shit. And the vaccines were mandated, and there were like 12 cops quit. So it's like everybody else got the vaccine.
Yeah, everyone got. Yeah.
It's all these people. Once you try to tell them, like, put your money where your mouth is, they all crumble to it. So it's like,
I mean, I know people that have gotten fired for not getting vaccinated, and they're just on to the next. I don't believe in that. I think if you have a good job, and you should try to protect that, and you have a family, you got more. People just love these fucking conspiracy theories. They just love, I don't know, this Joe Rogan shit has really sent us into a parallel universe. It's for me astonishing how many people don't believe in any of this. And
what's the Joe Rogan shit? Can you go in more details on that?
Joe Rogan is just spreading misinformation. just making he has a lot of viewers and he has a lot of people believing in what he says, and what he says isn't safe to be saying.
Can you give me an example of one of the things he said? I haven't heard many of his rants.
He doesn't believe that you need to be vaccinated.
He basically says if you're young and you're healthy, you don't need to get vaccinated, which is, I guess, partially true, right? Like, from your own health, you don't need to get vaccinated. But if you getting vaccinated is going to help prevent you from getting the virus, then it's also going to help you. It's going to help prevent you spreading the virus. So there's that aspect. He was also pushing all this medicine that there's tons of studies that say, like, what was he talking about? Ivermectin.
The anti-parasite medicine, which this is a virus, so how the hell would an anti-parasite help with this?
Yeah, so I don't know. So, like, him pushing that, oh, this is good medicine and stuff like that, and he had Sanjay Gupta up there, and I think the guy did a fucking horrible job of explaining. Yeah. Of explaining why what Joe Rogan was doing is wrong. But it's like, basically, since Joe Rogan has a lot of money and a lot of friends in probably high places, he could get whatever he wants. He could probably go to any doctor and get an ivermectin prescription, even though no credible doctor would actually give him that, like, for COVID. The problem with that, though, is that a lot of other people are not going to be able to get ivermectin from their doctors. So they're going to get ivermectin from other places, at like a pet store, where they sell it for anti-parasite stuff. And it's not the same medicine that you give to humans. The dosages are different and things like that. So it's almost like he's encouraging people to go get this horse dewormer. But meanwhile, it is a medicine we give humans. It's just, like, you're going to encourage people to go buy this from, shadier sources, as opposed to getting it from a doctor for real reasons to get this medicine.
Yeah, don't take medicine you get from a livestock store. That's just, I didn't think that we would ever have to say that. I don't think that's any advice that anyone ever needed to hear in their lives. But if you're buying your medicine from the same place you're, buying shit to take care of your horse, don't. Just don't.
All right, probably not.
No, his whole thing kind of reminds me of like when Trump caught COVID, right? And then like I saw a bunch of people on the internet. They were like, "Look at this. Trump is old, and he bounced right back from this. It was no big deal." But they're ignoring the fact that the man was president at the time and probably received like $2 million worth of treatment to get through this thing. That shit is not available to the average person.
Yeah, and not only did he get the best treatment, he had access to all the medicines that were not really available for the public. He didn't get ivermectin, even though he was saying how good it was. The doctors did not give him that treatment. So it's like, it just goes to show, like, you got this guy, you're going to give him the best treatment available, and he doesn't get the treatment that all these, like, I don't even know what to call them, really, because I don't know if they're really anti-vaxxers or what, but they're kind of, there's this narrative, right, which is partially true, basically saying like, yo, look, these pharmaceutical companies are creating vaccines and they're telling us that this is the only real treatment for COVID. Isn't it in their isn't this in their best interest to say that, because they're going to make more money by basically selling vaccines? And it's like, yeah, it is in their best interest. Doesn't make it false. Like those two things are not mutually exclusive. Like, you probably should, be skeptical of a pharmaceutical company telling you what the best treatments are. You should probably talk to a doctor or refer to the CDC, which happen to agree with the pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. But I don't know. Everybody just wants to be in the loop on some kind of conspiracy theory. Like, I mean, it feels good. Like, doesn't it feel amazing to know this secret about the world? And you're one of the few people that know this truth, and the rest of the world is blind to it. Like, right? That's kind of what we talked about
It
a few
feels
episodes
magical,
ago.
yeah. It feels like, oh my God, I know something.
Right. Like you want to be the one to put people on. You want to be the first one to have access to this thing. Like we spoke about that recently. Like it's a thing that humans tend to like for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think that some of the a lot of people don't want the vaccine. They don't think that they need it because they already got COVID, so they already have the natural antibodies, which I guess is not wrong. But I mean, there's new variants, so I mean, you can still get it regardless. And a lot of people, to follow up their claims, are saying like, "Yo, it only really it's harmful to you if you have extra stuff going on, like if you're unhealthy and you got a lot of these. Like this is what they say, and this is what they're throwing out. They're not 100% wrong. They're not inaccurate, right? But it's just like it's all about just stopping the spread of it, right? That's the main thing. That's what they, like everybody's goal is. So we can all just go back to normal and fuck out of here with the mask shit.
I've heard some arguments. I was reading this thing on online the other day on this Twitter thread, and I thought it was an interesting comparison. They were talking about how like that statement of it only affects like people with underlying conditions, blah blah blah. That's true. Like those are the people that are most at risk of dying from COVID. There's also some crazy long-term side effects for people that are perfectly healthy. I've still got a decent amount of like fatigue, and I got that COVID rash that they were talking about, and I'm still like dealing with like
rash
shit from it set off an eczema flare up because like there was a COVID rash that that like 20% of people experience, and like it's this whole thing. There's a lot of crazy long-term effects, but let's just say we're just worried about like whether you're going to die from it or not. You're most at risk if you have some kind of underlying health condition, right? But that statement is it's kind of a scary statement because statements like that can go in line with things like eugenics, because people are like, oh, well, we're just weeding out the weak people in our society. But there's some parallels with eugenics there of like just getting rid of the weak, like sacrificing them so that way we can just keep living our best lives and keep the economy going.
I think there were some senators who were like, yeah, old people are going to have to die. And I'm like, damn. And some old people were like, yeah, we're going to have to die, but I'd rather die an American. I'm like, wow.
That's brainwashing at its finest.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. There's a few different cases of like stories that came out of people that absolutely refused to get the vaccine, and then they got COVID and they ended up in the hospital on ventilators, and like throughout that experience, like they're regretting their choices, you know?
Wait, did you say Meatloaf? Was that confirmed? I thought they had not released a
I think so.
cause of death or whatever.
I think so.
Interesting.
And somebody was making a meme saying, I don't want to get vaxxed. And he's singing. And it says, it's something about not being vaxxed.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that he
How do you guys
died from COVID.
How do you guys think?
Bless you.
Mute your mic.
My bad. It's all the way over there. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's all the way over. It's like right here.
I'm
The way
sneezing.
over
I don't have
there.
the accuracy right now. Like you try to fucking sneeze and have the accuracy to hit a button this fucking big.
Gonna sneeze and hit the hype horns on accident.
Yeah, bang! You're gonna be like, wow, what a dick. With the new variant, obviously it's not as strong. I would say it's not as strong as the first one, right? Because
Yeah.
mandate,
We were having an argument the other night with Jesus about this.
why? What was the
The
argument?
strength of the new variant.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying like Omicron is not as strong as the other variants and things like that, and I guess I'd be careful to make statements like that because it's hard to like. Basically, people look at a few things, right? People look at how many deaths are now compared to in the previous strains, and the deaths are lower. But you got to look into basically why are the deaths lower? like in the first few waves of COVID, there was so much misinformation. There was no vaccines. Like people weren't vaccinated yet. Like, you know, a lot of people weren't wearing masks in the beginning. So the impact was crazy at first. Like the spreading, all that shit. Whereas now there's so many people that are vaccinated. A lot of old people aren't getting sick anymore because some are triple vaxxed, some are quadruple vaxxed. They're doing social distancing. And now like a good chunk of the people getting sick are younger people. So their survival rates are going to be higher because younger people tend to do better with the virus. Period. So I don't know. It's a little weird to say that it's like weaker because less people are dying. I don't know, the analogy that I told that I brought up to the friend that we were talking to is almost like, imagine you had people go out for a gunfight with 22s, right? There's going to be some number of deaths. And then let's say you give everybody like, I don't know, 45s instead, which is a more powerful gun, but then you give everybody full body armor, like head to toe body armor. It's like, all right, there might be less deaths in this 45 fight, but like you wouldn't walk away and say, oh, the 45 is weaker than the 22, you know? Like the parameters of the situation are different now. So I don't know.
I do think that we're all just tired at this point. I know a lot of people that they were being extremely I mean, shit, I'm counted in this. I caught it because I took a risky move. I went to see a movie in a movie theater. I wouldn't have dreamed of doing. I shouldn't have done it even then. But yeah, I made a stupid mistake and I caught it, and I was lucky that I got the mild one, you know, because I'm triple vaccinated. But in retrospect, it wasn't the best idea to go and see that fucking movie. I wish that Disney and Marvel had released that movie like still as a streaming option.
Yeah, for sure.
But people are tired. People are so tired. They're tired of being cooped up in their house. They're tired of not being able to go to the grocery store and pick their own fruits and vegetables, and people are tired of not seeing their friends. And it's wild. We're rounding here. We're about to close on 2 years of quarantine, of some degree of COVID lockdown, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the ship has sailed a bit.
Like the numbers that we got in New York the last like month ago, even everywhere else, they were the highest numbers ever. Like it was like, if we thought the first time was bad, this time was even worse. But I just think a lot more people were vaccinated. A lot more hospitals were ready for the influx of people. And I think that just helped out a lot more. But I think it just, people did not give a fuck, and that's why it was spreading so fast. Either that or the variant just spreads faster.
The variant is far more contagious than the previous ones.
Yep.
But I don't know. It was just my thing where Tony said it's weaker. It's like there's so many reasons why people are surviving this like virus, that to just boil it down to it's weaker than the previous one. I'm not saying whether it's weaker or stronger. I'm saying like I don't know if we have enough information right now to really make that determination. Like Dowie said, we know how to treat COVID now if someone goes to the hospital. We didn't know that for a while. Like, you know, we didn't have the tools. We didn't have the vaccines. We didn't know the medicines, all that shit. Like we just didn't know. We were just shooting in the dark. So people were dying. Like now when people go to the hospitals, we kind of know what needs to be done. Even the fact that people are only sick for 5 days, like that helps a ton. Like, I think because the hospitals aren't going to be as overrun and things like that. So I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why, like something could have better outcomes and not really speak to how strong or how weak it is. But
the thing that I was saying, right, and it was like when I said weak, I was like, because all right, so now that people who do get it are probably repeat offenders, right, by now. Well, the majority of them, people who has the vaccine or people who had the original variant and got antibodies. So all this helps to catching another variant of the virus, right? Like in a way it helps because it's like it's not going to affect you as much because A, you already got it or you got the booster or the vaccine I meant. And then also, yeah, getting the booster. And then if you're that one person who didn't get the vax and still didn't get COVID, and you get hit with it, it's gonna probably be a little bit different for versus everybody else, right? Because we all been through it. So
I've seen 3 people in my little not in my like 3 people that were attached to my little friend circle die in the past 2 weeks from COVID. I've had a few buddies that they had uncles die. I've seen 3 deaths recently, just in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, so they avoided it and didn't get the vaccine, and now they got the Omnion. Or
I know someone that just caught it and is unvaccinated, and they thought they were dying. They said that it hurt to breathe. Like it's still serious stuff. You know what's crazy to me is that, like, if there is any single accomplishment that you think that Trump would be hyping up, it would be the speed at which we got these vaccines out, right? And he still is like kind of towing that line of like playing into saying that the vaccine is kind of bullshit. And it's crazy. If there's anything he should be doing a victory lap over, it should be his vaccine. Yeah, like the Project Warp Speed.
I mean, he has been doing that a little
with
bit.
Candace Owens.
He had an interview with Candace Owens. He has done, I think, 2 different speeches. The dude is still doing rallies, like just nuts
every week.
but where he basically said the vaccines are good and they work, and his constituents booed him. They were like, "Fuck that!" Like, and so he has been trying to take some credit in the positive of saying, "Yo, like when I was president, we got these vaccines out, like, and shit like that." I don't know. It's one of those things that's like, it's hard to know how much the president had. I mean, maybe it isn't hard to know at all. Like maybe if you got to dig a little, into the information or whatever. I don't know how much the White House had anything to do with the speed that the vaccines came out in, but presidents get to take credit for anything good that happens while they're president. So,
and bad. It all kind of falls on. Well, they could pass it along.
Credit for that.
Yeah, they could pass it along.
Like Obama got the fucking financial crisis. I don't think that was his fault.
No,
he inherited that shit from George Bush. Like,
they still be blaming Obama till this day.
They would say, some people do say Obamacare was the worst fucking healthcare that I've ever.
The version of Obamacare we got was not great. But it helped a lot of people. I know some people that it helped personally because they were low income and that was the only way they were getting health insurance.
I know mad people got braces. Everybody was braced up. I was like, damn, this Obamacare working.
There's like 22 million Americans that never had health insurance on their Obamacare. So
tell you though, free healthcare, I'm a fan. Tax me. Give everyone free healthcare. I'll pay some taxes to get everyone free healthcare. I don't understand how you could not be a fan of trying to make sure everyone's staying healthy.
I don't know. I don't want to get taxed out the ass. I mean, we're getting taxed out the ass now, but to add more taxes on top of that for someone, I mean, if you got a job and you don't want to get health insurance, bro, you're a fucking dick.
Yeah, but a lot of people work part-time, and part-time doesn't offer benefits.
And a lot of these companies will screw you over. They'll hire you on as a full-time employee, and they'll be like, you know what, actually, you're 39 hours this week. Just go home. And that means you're not eligible for health insurance.
And a lot of employees are hired on as contractors, and they don't have the same obligations to give benefits to contractors the same way that they would like employees that are actually like in the organization.
If you're a contractor, at least you're making some decent amount of money to go get health insurance.
No, I'm saying like you could say you're like a waiter or something, right? Like there might be companies out there that hire waiters not as employees to the establishment that you're gonna work at. It's like they're just contracting work out to you or some bullshit like that. Like, contractor doesn't mean like some kind of construction contractor.
No, yeah.
Right. It's more like you're a little bit more independent. You're not beholden to the company's whims, but that also means that you're kind of not an employee, so you don't get employee benefits. Sometimes your pay is higher though. Most of the time.
So here's the dark question for y'all. Do y'all think that we're going to get rid of COVID this year? Do you think that we're finally going to be done with the pandemic this year?
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah.
You asked two questions.
Late in the game too.
You asked, are we getting rid of COVID and are we going to be done with the pandemic? I think no to the first question, yes to the second question.
You think people are just done with it and it's just going to be...
Yeah, was it the Prime Minister of France or something? One of those guys came out and they were like, COVID's here to stay, baby. We just need to get back out there. Like we need to get used to it. It's going to keep coming back. Like,
that's the same thing.
I think we're at the point where it's going to be endemic. And, hopefully it gets weaker over time as more and more variants come out. But.
That's the gamble, right? Because, like, historically, the way that these diseases work when they start mutating like this is each variant is a little bit more contagious, but less deadly. Like the hardcore symptoms risk goes down, right? That's how it works in theory. But you never know, man. This thing could do some weird evolution on the next variant and become even more deadly. Like maybe it's going to start causing pneumonia in addition to everything else or something.
Look at the flu, bro. Shit's been around for ages, and niggas still die from it every year.
And there's some deadly flu strains that come out some year. Do you remember the swine flu? Like bird flu?
Yeah. The H1N1, it killed some people. Or like the Spanish flu. Like that was like a bad flu, I guess.
Real quick.
A lot of fucking people died. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a risk. I don't know. Hopefully they keep developing better and better vaccines. Right now, it's nuts. I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that they're mRNA vaccines, but the efficacy of these vaccines are higher than any flu vaccine I've seen. Like the flu vaccines would be like 30-40% effective, and these shits are 90-95%. Like the current the vaccines right now are 90% effective against Omicron. Like that shit's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's reducing the virus to like a sore throat. People who are triple vaxxed like are not really feeling like getting hit that bad.
Well, real quick side note. Do strippers have insurance through the strip club, or they got to get their own insurance?
No, I'm pretty sure the strippers are almost like contract workers. I think they have to pay for their spot in the club, and they have to pay out like some amount of rent or something like that. They get to keep all their tips. They work basically on tips and maybe some bullshit hourly wage. I don't know, man. I've only had a couple of friends that were ever strippers, and I never really asked them about the financials of the job.
Yeah, that's interesting. They're like barbers. Like barbers have to pay for the chair in the barbershop.
Yeah.
And then they get to keep whatever money they make after paying for that spot.
A wild comparison. I'm gonna tell Jason next time I see him, like, yo, you're just like a stripper.
They be acting like strippers.
Damn. Barber awards, stripper awards.
They be going hands for your money, bro.